Hi there folks, I'm out at the range today with my Husqvarna 8mm Mauser sporting rifle, and I'm going to be trying out some of this 1951 Czech surplus ball ammo. This stuff is 178 grain boat tail full metal jacket. I've owned it for a very long time, so we're going to put a few rounds down range at 100 yards. We're going to see how it does for accuracy, and we're also going to put it over the chronograph to see what kind of velocity we get. So let's get at it. Here are 5 rounds of the Czech 1951 surplus 8mm Mauser at 100 yards. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So as you can see, it's not exactly what you call match grade. Let's see what we got for spreads here. It's pretty big. 5.5 inches, I would say, is probably our extreme spread. Yeah, it's pretty close to 5.5 either direction. A little hard to shoot that stuff because there was one that required a double strike, so that's a real test to one's follow through and hopefully avoiding any flinch. But anyway, we'll go back and try another 5 and see how those do. Alright, here's our second group. Marginally better than the first one, but not much. Looks like it's about 4.5 inches extreme spread between those two. Anyway, it's old ammo, and it isn't getting any better with time. Okay, we're back home from the range, and I've had a chance to tabulate the velocity readings since my chronograph is being a pain in the butt, and I have to write everything down manually and then go through and figure out all this stuff. So we've got 10 rounds over the chronograph, and the important figures are the ones at the bottom there. We've got an average of 2,508 feet per second, standard deviation of close to 19 feet per second, and an extreme spread of 64 feet per second. So there's the individual numbers should you be interested. 2543 for the high, 2479 for the low. And once again, that's out of the Husqvarna 640, which has a 23 3/4 inch barrel, which is essentially identical to a Mauser Car 98K for barrel length. So a pretty good analog there, but with the addition of the optic, which makes it a little easier to for middle-aged eyeballs to get on target and do the best that I can. That ammo, as you saw, was a little bit less than 100% reliable, which kind of does prey upon one's mind when they're shooting groups, because I think it takes away from the ability to shoot good groups, because there's always that anticipation that the round's not going to go off. So I think it can make a person perhaps a little more flinchy than they would be otherwise. So I'm not going to say that my efforts were perfect. You know, they were what they were. Anyway, this ammo is getting old and its performance is starting to go downhill, like all ammo will eventually do. It is 73 years old at this point in time, so no fault to the Czechs for making it that way. The powder does appear to be degrading a little bit. The insides of the cartridge cases are a little bit stained. The bottoms of the bullet bases are a bit stained, which would indicate that the propellant is breaking down a little bit. So we've got this stuff going a little slower than what the standard for that ammo would be. I think it's supposed to be doing 2,592 feet per second, according to the interwebs, for the SME style of ball, which is the Spitzer with iron core. So you know, the bullet weights are spot on for that loading, because the SME is supposed to have a 178.2 grain bullet, and this stuff, when it was weighed and averaged out, was right at that number. So that's with 44.7 grains of extruded style, kind of an IMR style of powder. So the primers, I think, are the big issue with this stuff. Most of them went off without a problem, but some of them required 2 strikes to go off. So that's a sign that the ammo is starting to degrade, and it's on its way out. I've owned this ammo for, well, since about 1987, I'm guessing, somewhere around there. I've had it a long, long time. So it's probably time to shoot most of it up, because in, who knows, in a few years it'll probably be all duds. I think the primers are kind of starting to fail, and like I said, the powder's starting to degrade. This is typical with old ammo. The primers seem to be the weak point with almost all old ammunition. They're usually what fails first. Powder will usually last a little better, but it does get weaker when it starts to break down. Unlike some people who seem to think that it magically gets more powerful when it gets old. Every old ammo that I've tried that was starting to go kind of go south always shot with lower velocities. It's a pretty good indication that the ammo is starting to break down when it starts to give you lower velocities. So it's typical for old ammo like this. So if you're gonna buy old ammo like this, don't pay too much for it, because unless you've had a chance to try some of it, you really don't know what you're gonna get. If you're gonna buy this kind of stuff, if you come across it at a gun show, I would recommend looking at it as a source of perhaps component bullets, because that might be all you get out of it. You could buy a bunch of this stuff, get it home, take it to the range, and find out that it's no good anymore. But the bullets are always usable. The powder might be usable, and you know, Berdan primed brass is not terribly valuable stuff, because Berdan primers are pretty hard to get. You could theoretically rebuild the stuff, but it probably wouldn't be worth the effort. Anyway, thanks for hanging around for this this checkout of this old Czech ammo. It was kind of interesting to see how it performed after all these years. So as always, your comments and ratings are appreciated, and probably the next video I'll do a teardown of this ammo, and we'll go through it in a little more depth. You already know how it's going to work out for performance, but we'll have a look at it. We'll break some apart, and we'll show you that in more detail. Anyway, until then, thanks for watching, and talk to you later.